Can a sports bike still be as good as a not sports bike when you're doing not sports bike things? Confused? Yeah, me too. I'm going to go on a big trip on these two and find out if my love of sports bikes is enough to miss out on the comfort of an adventure bike. This class of bike, this sort of middleweight sports bike class, has been busy in the last couple of years, to say the least. And every time one gets launched, we're told how they're not like the old Supersport 600s, they're comfy, they've got more mid-range, they're more relevant as road bikes, which is cool. But since I and quite a lot of you out there used to ride sports bikes as our main bikes, since those heady days in the late 90s, early noughties where sports bikes were king, touring bikes have come a long way. Back then, a touring bike tended to be a bit soft, a bit comfy, a little bit old person-y. That's changed. These things are now pretty good looking, sharp, they handle amazingly, they're fast. They do so much good sports bikey stuff with all the comfort stuff around it. So I want to see if this new generation of middleweight sports bike is relevant. Is it worthwhile riding one of these if you're going a long trip? There's no question that on a twisty road, this, for me, is more fun than this. How will I feel after 300, 400, 500 miles of doing that? That's what I'm setting out to find out. Conveniently, I've got a good Irish road racy type mate who's getting married in Northern Ireland. I haven't seen him for a good amount of time, and it was the perfect excuse to travel by bike. It'd be far easier to jump on an aeroplane. It would be equally easy to jump in the van and get the ferry and cruise up and have a little road trip. But in a van or on an aeroplane, the journey is just that, it's a journey. You're just traveling from A to B in relative comfort without too much hassle. On a motorbike, you go through some hardship. It's going to be cold. We're already panicking about how many clothes do we take. Is it going to rain? Are we going to be able to put all our stuff in the luggage? It makes it harder, but it also makes it an event. It makes it special. It makes that journey from my house here to that wedding near Belfast an exciting adventure, whatever bike you're on. And I've definitely been guilty in recent years of taking the easy option. So today it's the hard option. We've got this beautiful Panigale V2S, which is no secret. This is one of my favourite bikes at the moment. We've got the Multistrada to compare it, and me and my wife are going to head for the hills and enjoy a great road ride all the way to Northern Ireland. And at the end, I think we'll have a pretty good idea which bike we'll pick.
This is properly exciting. We are off on a holiday on motorbikes. You'll notice Kirsty ahead of me is Bagsy's the Panigale V2. Straight away, don't blame her. And you also notice the Panigale is completely devoid of any sort of luggage, which, yeah, if we were actually in a fair comparison of touring on the two, I should put a tail pack on that, but I didn't have anything in the house that was kind of non-scratchy. I was really nervous not to scratch all the paintwork on the back of it, so I sort of wimped out and used all the luggage that the Multistrada's got. So we're going to put score 1 for the Panigale, or for the Multistrada over the Panigale already, because massive luggage on the Multistrada, and we've got 2 people's worth of kit to go to a wedding and have a weekend away all on one bike with space to spare, which is nice. I said already the Multistradas have one win because panniers, easy to pack kit in, a little bit difficult to pack lots of kit on a Panigale, but not impossible. But also big win for the Panigale, because despite the fact that Kirsty is super used to riding adventure bikes, the Panigale is small, it's light, it's easy to get your feet down on in sports bike terms. And yeah, when we were picking which bike to wobble up the gravel driveway and tackle the first roads on, the Panigale was definitely the better bet for Kirsty on her first ride out on a big trip for a long time. So we're going to score 1 for Panigale for confidence, because the Multistrada does look big with all the luggage on it, and 1 for practicality for the Multistrada. If anyone tots these up at the end, I'd love to know what they actually come out to. Oh, looking at the weather for the last few weeks, I have been slightly nervous about this trip because it's been pouring with rain, and I was all up for the adventure and the challenge and making it a slog in bad weather, but I am so relieved to see blue skies and dry roads. It's definitely going to make this trip extra special. Nobody wanted to see the Panigale covered in mud, not even me, and I'm the worst for that sort of thing. So a little kit check on the stuff we've brought along with us. I'm going to kind of highlight the most important bits of kit we bought. Genuinely, these were a bit of a revelation to us only a couple of years ago, but Intercom system. I was not against it for a long time, but I kind of liked the solitude in the helmet riding. But we did a 24-hour trial. Well, we do one every year, but we did one a couple of years ago, and we put the intercom system on for that, just so we could keep track of each other in the night. And it was amazing. It was such a good time. It made it such a more social event. Whether it's, you know, Kirsty or I've done it on trips with the off-road skills crew, the BMW training school. Chatting away in the intercoms while you're riding it is awesome. I mean, sometimes I probably chat too much and people turn their intercoms off, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of intercoms now on bikes. It does add another level of chat, banter, socialising. Yeah, big fan. The ones we've got are Cardo Edge Packtalks at the moment, Kirsty and I. Pretty easy to fit, pretty easy to set up. There's all sorts of complicated stuff they can do. But we've basically set them up to pair on the mesh system, and then you just turn them up, turn them on, talk, turn them off again. And if you put music on, your phone will connect to it too. So nice. I keep it nice and simple for that, because of less time faffing, more time riding. But there is a ton of options and things you can do on there. So yeah, intercom, big fan of that. And then in terms of stuff I've packed, obviously a pair of pants and a toothbrush. I'm not an animal. But I packed a small toolkit. I mean, we're on nearly brand new Ducatis, so one would hope we're not going to be repairing stuff at the side of the road. But I've got a puncture repair kit and a little 12-volt pump just to get out of trouble, because, yeah, there's nothing worse than having to stop a ride because you've got a flat tyre and miss a ferry. So tubeless tyre repair kit, and then I just chucked a few other bits and pieces, zip ties. I actually chucked some chain lube and some tools to adjust the chains. Both these are chain drive bikes, so the miles we're doing, we're probably not going to need to, but I find it hard to go away without some tools, because I like fiddling with things. So got those bits, and the chain lube is a good idea at the end of the day. Just got a little tin of chain lube to go with us. And then obviously just a little bit of duct tape, because I don't know, you always need duct tape. I haven't decided what I'm going to use it for yet. Kirsty's probably going to use it to shut me up, because she's going to listen to me waffling all the way there. But and then riding kit wise, we just gone jackets and jeans, and then chucked some waterproofs in. It's just about warm enough and nice enough to get away with that still, without needing to go full Cordura. One of my favourite bits of kit that I've got for both of us is we've got Shoei NXR helmets, or NXR2 helmets, but we've both got the Shoei Transitions visor, which is the light sensitive visor. It's, when you see the price of them, I think they're over 200 quid by memory. It feels a little bit salty, but it is it's a game changer, because you've always got a tint and you've always got a clear visor. You don't have to faff around carrying a spare visor. If you're someone who rides like all day, especially if you commute, riding in the morning and then riding back in the night, having a dark visor when you've got that low sun on the way to work or way to wherever you're going, and then a clear visor to ride home again without having to fiddle around and change visors. And like tonight, we're going to ride from low sun, evening light, into dusk and then into dark, and we're not going to have to stop and fiddle around and get a visor out of the bag. And yeah, that is a game changer. So big fan. I better tell Kirsty where we're going. We're going right. So busy waffling. You'll notice on the camera, Kirsty's reasonably short of leg, and her way of combating that over the years has been to never put her feet down while she's riding. So every time we get to a junction, it's like watching a trials rider. She sort of slows right down and does her best not to have to put her foot down before she pulls out. It's yeah, good balance practice. I like it. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much the kit we've got. Simple, but yeah, my two favourite bits of gadgety tech are the Transitions visor and Cardo Packtalk. Top tips and a punch repair kit. Oh, these roads! First little stop off, we made it to Llynnoedd.
Yep.
Stop for a wee. But How was the Panigale?
Oh, I loved it. Thank you. Yeah, it's like you say, it's been quite a while since I've ridden a sports bike or something of that angle, let's say. Apart from on a track, which is again still very recent, but it was super kind, really gentle, easing me in. I can touch the floor, which is a novelty for someone my height and leg length. But also like low down in the power and low gear, I could poodle it around. It's light. I remember the bikes I used to have feeling like they wanted to fall over at every opportunity, and this one just sort of goes, no, go on then, you can put your foot there and that's fine, I've got it until then.
Oh, nice.
And then as soon as you want to do something silly, it's ready for that as well.
I've been enjoying watching you zoom off every time there's an opportunity. And Multistrada is doing a very good job of carrying all of the luggage we've rammed into it, which is cool. And you have to work a bit, you definitely notice yours is lighter. Like when you hit the throttle to pass the car, I'm like, ooh, down a gear. And I have to charge down the gears to go, but I'm very comfortable. So
well, yes.
I'm not going to swap off yet.
No.
You can stay on the Panigale a bit longer.
Thank you.
But we're going to get some fuel, get some more miles done, find some more good roads.
We are in Ireland. We are on our trip proper now. Just got through the docks. All the fun and games and the nervous bits if you've not travelled on ferries before of strapping your bike down and hoping it's in the same place, but we're out and on our way. So we're going to blast up a little bit of motorway and then just to get sort of past Dublin and then dive onto some back roads. I'm basically navigating by any towns that I recognise as having a racetrack near them because that's as good a method as any. We're going right here. That doesn't feel right. No, we're going to go all the way around this one. I'm going to ignore that and follow the signs. Good job, Google Maps. Crushed it already. We'll just follow the sign that says exit, I think. These people that just blindly follow their sat-navs without looking where they're going. Shocking behaviour. After some mapping, I have established we are at Cookstown 100 racetrack. This is, I think, turn 1. We're facing the wrong way, but we're going to have a quick lap of the track now, just because it's awesome and you can race on the roads out here. I'm going to take Kirsty for a lap at Cookstown 100. I'm guessing they clear the poo off on race day. Pretty wild as a racetrack. I mean, I say that Aberdare's not exactly filled with runoff, but I think it's more the fact that this is, you know, these people are turning into their driveway and this is a race. This has been a motorbike racetrack. Northern Ireland's brilliant. Then off down the start finish straight. That's mad. Love it. Get some proper speed down here before you make this first corner. Then that's the right there. In there, turn 1. Bonkers.
We made it back!
We did.
Obviously. But, first and foremost, did you have fun?
Oh, the best time. The best time.
Am I the best husband ever?
You've earned some points.
Officially on camera. You actually rode the Panigale for the whole way there. That was what we decided in the end. I felt like I was being pretty cruel, but I must admit, when I got back on it to ride home, it wasn't half as bad. It's surprisingly comfortable, isn't it?
It is, and you were being very gentlemanly carrying all the luggage.
Just carry all the luggage on the big bike. I felt like your concierge. You basically ride adventure bikes most of the time, or weird old Hondas.
Yeah.
So the Multistrada felt pretty familiar when you jumped on that, but on the twisty road, you were quite surprised by the Panigale, weren't you? Like, did it feel nicer or more fun than the adventure bike, or did you not really care?
It definitely felt more fun. It would like do that sports bike thing of I could change direction nice and quickly, and it felt stable when I did that. I didn't have to plan it so far in advance, turning in and into a corner. And on the odd occasion, the person in front of me did something odd. It braked really nicely and really evenly. Didn't do that weird like divey forward thing that I thought it would do and throw me over the handlebars as soon as I touched the front brake.
It didn't throw you over the
It
handlebars.
didn't.
And then on the way back, you swapped to the Multistrada. You come from, might as well be honest, you come from a GS background. You've ridden GSs for years. Currently got a 1200 GS that's sounding your baby. What did you think of the Multistrada compared to your bike?
I first off climbed on, and for someone short of lag, I managed to touch the floor with both feet. Cardinal sin, I know.
I know, it's allowed.
But I think you said you put it in the low seat position, didn't you? And that is something unheard of for someone of my height to be able to get both feet down. And admittedly, you don't do it often or whatever, but having the knowledge and the comfort that I could do that if I needed to. But everything felt super familiar. Everything was where I wanted it to be. It behaved how I expected it to for an adventure bike. And yeah, it ticked the box, and I felt very comfortable very, very quickly.
So, last question then, because you've actually got to go back and work a proper job now, unlike me. Which would you pick? Like as your actual bike, not as just for this trip in general, but which would you pick?
It would be the Multistrada.
It would be the Multistrada.
I've
not converted to the sports
not
bikes
quite,
yet.
but I'm not saying I wouldn't love another little run out on that one at some point.
Yeah, there we are. Awesome. Well, Kirsty's going to go do some work. Very formal handshake. This
very
is
formal.
A very formal relationship. We have met before, and yeah, I'm going to do my bit now.
Brilliant.
Really hard work.
Thanks.
Bye. See you
Bye.
later. Now we kick this video off with the question of whether that bike was better than that bike for a sort of long distancey, medial distancey touring trip. Obviously, we all knew the answer at the beginning, the adventure bike was better. But the point I wanted to check out was Ducati spent a lot of time telling us how good the Panigale V2 is as a road bike. And yep, I rode it earlier this year. I did a load of road miles on it and it was awesome. I loved it. It is probably one of my favorite road going sports bikes. No, it is my favorite road going sports bike right now. I absolutely love riding it. But going out locally for a blast on your favorite roads is one thing. Actually going somewhere, actually using it for a trip and going a big distance is something actually very different. You require a lot more of the bike when you do that. There'll be times where you're sat behind cars, behind lorries, through villages at a constant speed. That's where the comfort shows, because if you're accelerating and braking and cornering, you're using your muscles, your body's got some tension in it, you're not really going to be bothered by the comfort of the bike. As soon as you're sat in one position for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, on a motorway an hour, that's when you notice the comfort of a bike way, way more. Riding them super tired, riding them when you're exhausted and you just want to get home, you're done, you're just tired and want to get back. That's when you really start to learn what a bike is like outside of that glamour and glitz of a beautiful Sunday A-road. And I have to say, the Panigale impressed me. I really thought it was the bogey bike on this trip. I really thought by making Kirsty ride it all the way there, I was being a bit cruel. But then I rode it all the way home, and riding in 6 degrees cold, late night, totally knackered, still a bit hungover if I'm completely honest, it was good. It was comfortable. It reminds me of riding a late 90s Honda Fireblade in terms of the riding position. And that, I mean that as the ultimate compliment, because those bikes were actually pretty comfortable for sports bikes. This has got that same vibe. You sit a little bit more in it, the bars are a little bit higher. The seat, while it's not sort of super squishy, it's big and flat and there's room to move around and shuffle about a bit. Riding cross country on A-roads, I never found myself having to move my bum because it had gone numb. I never found myself kind of cricked on the wrists. I did notice that at the end of a full day riding this, I was more tired than I was getting off the Multistrada, but there was no point where I dreaded getting on it, which couldn't be said of some of the sports bikes we used to ride 15 years ago. The Multistrada, I want to talk briefly about that because it's the same price as this and it feels like you get a lot more for your money, if I'm honest. You get luggage, you get electronic suspension, you get cruise control, heated grips, an adjustable screen. You get a bike that is comfortable to sit on the motorway for hours and hours on end and not feel worn down by it. I think, and I find it weird to say that's good value for money, but Ducatis aren't cheap. They don't price their bikes cheap, and given their current standards they've set by their pricing, I think you do get quite a lot for your money with this. In terms of an adventure bike for touring, I found it really, really good. There are a couple of niggles that sort of came to light in the late night riding. The headlights are okay in a straight line, they're pretty good, but there's a few real dark patches that when you're on proper out in the middle of nowhere country roads and trying to go with a bit of pace, you're looking into that big dark hole in the headlight and it's quite irritating. So headlights could definitely be better. On top of that, the cruise control, again, not a sexy thing to talk about, but normally when you cancel cruise control on most bikes you can close the throttle a bit further and it cancels it. We couldn't seem to get that to work on this. Every time I tried it, it never cancelled it. I tried nipping the clutch in and that made it rev to the moon. The only way I could get the cruise control to cancel was by touching the brakes, which then made it lurch forward, which was not particularly smooth. You have to kind of wind the throttle almost to where you need it, then touch the brake, and yeah, it's not as slick as I'd expected from Ducati. So the Multistrada chomped up 300 miles each way with relative ease. The core of this bike, that V2 engine, as much as I love it in this, I also love it in this. It's a great motor. It feels like a V-twin. It rides like a V-twin, but we've lost some of the vibes of those old school ones. So I think Ducati's done a stonking job with the engine, and I think it suits both bikes really well. Now the big question for me is, would I go on this or this if I was going again tomorrow? Let's take aside the question of luggage to start with, because I cheated and didn't put any on the Panigale. So if you were going to take this, you need to figure out a luggage solution. But genuinely, for that trip, that ride, I think I would take the Panigale. I like Multistrada for its comfort and its ability to chuck boxes on, but I'm a sucker for a sports bike. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. I like that you have to endure a bit of discomfort compared to one of these on the long slogs, but then when you get to the good roads, the reward is there. They turn quicker, they stop quicker, they accelerate quicker, they feel more exciting to ride. Modern adventure bikes are incredible, but still for me, nothing can touch the excitement of a proper modern sports bike. The fact that this one is comfortable enough to use without being in agony, I think is a massive testament to what Ducati's done with it. I would definitely take this on another touring trip. We'd need to figure out some luggage situation, because I hate wearing a backpack on a bike, but I like the Panigale already. This trip has not helped that situation. I'm now an even bigger fan of this bike. Now that question would change if I was going to be traveling 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And actually, if you took these out of the question and said I could pick any bike to go on a trip, I always flip between these and a proper off-road adventure bike. I love riding roads, but I also love riding the dirt, and my brain is constantly torn between the two. But for me, if I'm going on a road only, a tarmac only adventure trip, I think I'd stick with a sports bike and deal with the discomfort. As you heard from Kirsty earlier, she wasn't quite so swung by the love of sports bikes. She'd take the Multistrada every time. And I think it is such a personal thing. We'd love to hear what you think. Stick it in the comments. Have you done some big trips on sports bikes? Have you done some big trips on both swapping back and forth? What would you pick? Like, I think it's such a personal thing. I just think it's important not to write sports bikes off as being useful, because if you suffer a little bit, the reward, for me, is definitely worth it.